This is the Tyler Morgan Show on Relentless Daring Media Network.
Welcome to the land of bourbon and bad decisions, where the nights are long and the truth cuts deep. Voices rise against the tide with clear intentions in the place where freedom never sleeps. Echoes of the past in the halls of tomorrow. The light will chase away the whispers of sorrow. Stand tall, never bow, the fight's just beginning. With every word, the fire keeps on spinning. Let the Lord got a message for the nation, raising up the flag with no hesitation. Through the storm, the fire burns bright. On the edge of reason, we defend our rights. Whoa.
Welcome back to Land of Bourbon and Bad Decisions. This is the Tyler Morgan Show, coming to you slightly late, like an hour and 45 minutes, on twitch.tv/Tyler Morgan Show, or maybe check this out on the YouTubes, youtube.com/@the Tyler Morgan Show, or just on regular podcast, as I've been doing for years and years and years now. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, follow, rate, review, and all that happy stuff on the podcast platform of choice or video platform of choice. So before I get into the wild and wacky news of the week, let me talk to you about coffee. Yes, I know I have all these wonderful adult beverages above my head, but really it's coffee that is my favorite beverage. It gets me going in the mornings, and the best coffee to get me going is American Pride Roasters. Check them out at aprcoffee.com. Check out their full lineup of regular old-fashioned coffee flavored coffees, or maybe the fancy flavored coffees, maybe like the Hamilton Burr, a little bit donut, a little bit blueberry. If that's in your sort of thing, kind of a dessert coffee, check them out. They got lots of great stuff. I prefer the coffee flavored coffees. You have the Calvin Coolidge, the Thomas Paine Age of Reason remix. It has a little extra caffeine boost from the 100% pure Robusta beans. Check it out today. They have all sorts of great coffees. I love it. Made in beautiful, sunny Runnels, Iowa, and shipped direct to you. aprcoffee.com. Historically great coffee. All right. So make sure I hit the right hide button here. California, man. If you have been following any of the news lately, all you have heard about Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill is that he's going to cut Medicare, Medicaid for the poor. Oh my God. Even though none of that is in the bill. None of it. But, like I said, if all you have heard in the past 3 weeks is about how bad it is and all this cutting on Medicare, Medicaid spending, and it's just going to just be the end of Medicare, Medicaid. But you know who is trying to cut their Medicaid spending and their state Medicaid budget? California. Wait, I thought California was the end all be all. We have to be like California. We have to spend all this money on Medicare, Medicaid, and what about the poors? Well, apparently California hates the poors, because Gavin Newsom is proposing wait for it, means-based testing to enroll new people in to Medi-Cal, because it's getting so expensive. But I thought California loved the poor and loved to get all the people into the Medi-Cal program. Well, they did, but it turns out they're not very good at living up to what they demand of everybody else. All right, so Gavin Newsom proposes $2,000 asset eligibility test to control soaring state Medi-Cal costs. Newsom has also proposed freezing new enrollment for adults in the country illegally as a way to cut Medi-Cal costs. So, California Governor Gavin Newsom is proposing an asset test, aka means testing, for seniors to prove eligibility for Medi-Cal health care benefits for low-income Californians in response to budget shortfall. Shocking. To qualify, people would have to possess less than $2,000 in assets to qualify. So this is where it gets done because it's so easy to see how quickly this devolves into, oh, you don't qualify. Oh, do you own your home and you have equity in it because you don't have a mortgage, but you're on a fixed income because you're drawing Social Security only? Guess what? You don't qualify because you could take out a loan against your home or you could sell your home. Oh, you have a 401k, you're living off your TSP because you're a government retiree. You have a union pension. This is how quickly it devolves into being going from, oh, we're trying to save money to, oh, now yeah, we're going to find every which way we can to cut you off. The governor's budget proposal, written by the California Department of Finance, said the reasons for the increased cost include, quote, higher overall enrollment, pharmacy costs, and higher managed care costs, end quote. Gee, what has driven up all those costs? I know. Government involvement in the medical system, as well as uh, other certain things that are kind of a glitch in the insurance system. And part of what's to help cause some of those glitches? Oh, the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act, which, for a lot of people who you're on that bubble between, I don't make enough money to afford the Obamacare, but I make too much money to afford the subsidies or to qualify for the subsidies. Gee, man, I wish I knew anyone who ever fell into particular particular financial suckage. Oh, that was me years ago when the Affordable Care Act went into effect. Being at that point where, oh crap, I can't afford the insurance, but okay, let's see if I qualify for the subsidy so I could have the insurance. Oh no, I didn't qualify for the subsidies. So that means when I was shopping for insurance one week and it was, 150, $200 a month. And then it goes up to like $600 a month for the exact same plan because the Affordable Care Act demanded there's all these extra coverages that I didn't need. Like, I don't know. Why would I ever need maternity care coverage when I'm not a woman? When I am not capable of conceiving, carrying, or birthing a child? But hey, I had to have that coverage, had to have gynecological coverage because, again, my non existent vagina did not need to see a gynecologist ever. But what do I know? I was just a dumb plebe, and dumb plebes don't know what they need or want in medical coverage. I may need coverage. Well, okay, I might need coverage for, uh, my brain just dumped. You ever had that happen? You're getting ready to say something, your brain just dumps the word. the medical imaging of the boob for breast cancer. Yeah, I know. I'm just totally my brain just dumped it all of a sudden. It's like, I know that word, but I can't think of it. There's nothing wrong. I That's a fairly good coverage to have because even with men, well, breast cancer is rare in men. It does happen. So maybe having that sort of imaging coverage is a good thing for everybody. But yeah, government interference in the market caused prices on insurance to go up. Government interference with the actual healthcare system, with doctors and lawyers and such. Sorry, mamas don't let your babies grow to be cowboys. Just popped in my head randomly, and the the wonders of the ADHD brain. But but directly interfering with, or not even really interfering, but tinkering with, you know, the practice of medicine. And because the government says, well, we're only going to reimburse this amount of money, guess what? Everybody else ends up subsidizing it because no doctor wants to lose money on their practice. No hospital wants to lose money on medication, on services, on surgeries, because the government will only reimburse X amount because the government has the ultimate hand when it comes to negotiating prices. We're the federal government. We say we're only going to pay you 50 cents on the dollar for these services. We are only paying you 50 cents on the dollar. And if you keep pushing back, we will drop to 45 cents. Capiche? And the hospitals are essentially strong armed, and clinics and doctors' offices are essentially strong armed into having to take a lower payment than what the market would normally allow to charge. But anyways, back to the article. All right. In the past 10 years, he said Medi-Cal costs have increased by $20.5 billion. Newsom also proposed freezing new enrollment for adults in the country illegally as a way to cut Medi-Cal costs. Gee, huh? You're telling me when you incentivize people to come to America because you're going to enroll them into Medi-Cal so they have health coverage. You're shocked that a lot of them took advantage of that and made it really expensive by how much the state has to pay. Wow.
No, you look like an idiot.
Yeah. That is what it boils down to. This whole idea that if you supply a service or a good to people who wouldn't normally be covered by it because you know, they're not eligible, they wouldn't normally be eligible, and suddenly every Tom, Dick, and Harry, Margaret, Janine, you name it, signs up for it because, oh, I'm here illegally, living life in the shadows, but they're going to give me health care coverage. Huh. Yeah, I'm going to sign up for that. Uh, some of the most significant contributing factors to this growth are the COVID-19 continuous coverage requirement. Even though COVID-19 is essentially done, they still have to pay for the continuous coverage just in case somebody gets COVID-19 now that is a little bit stouter, or because of their own health issues, they're a little bit weaker and cannot, their body's immune systems can't deal with it. So they end up in the hospital with secondary and tertiary infections from having COVID-19. Yep. uh, pneumonia and stuff like that. Yeah, they're still covering that. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't want to see someone who catches the cold, whether it's COVID-19 or a legit old fashioned cold, and it develops into bronchitis, it turns into pneumonia, what have you. I don't want to see them not be able to get care. My next door neighbor damn near died from COVID, not from the COVID itself, but because it settled in his lungs and he developed really bad pneumonia and he ended up in the hospital. Yeah, I'm glad that Medicare and or Medicaid and his TRICARE as a Army retiree covered it and covered his treatment. I don't want someone to not get treatment, period. But the fact that it's specifically earmarked as COVID-19 coverage, yeah, it's kind of, gee, I wonder why things are so expensive. You're paying for testing and coverages that you're probably not really going to need or use. And the implementation of major policy changes, such as the full elimination of the asset test for older adults and full scope expansion to all income eligible Californians, regardless of immigration status. Yeah, so they had means testing before, and then they eliminated it. And then suddenly, when you're not doing means testing on who really legit needs it, because they legit will not be able to afford health insurance or afford their health care costs, suddenly everyone's eligible. Everyone's going to sign up for it. The assets included in this test would be salary. Are you still working and making good money, but you don't have health care coverage through your job? Well, I'm sorry. If you make too much money, you do not qualify, which has been normal in everywhere else for forever. Cash on hand. You got 10 grand in the bank. You might not be getting the Medi-Cal. A second car. Well, if you can afford a second car, you can afford to sell it to pay for your insurance or pay for your medical costs. Your home value and retirement funds. Applicants with more than $2,000 in assets would be ineligible for Medi-Cal. And honestly, there are a lot of not rich people who would not qualify for Medi-Cal. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for reducing expenditures where you can for local, county, state, and federal government. But when you have these social safety nets in place, and while means testing is important, I think when you have people who would normally qualify under the means testing, where X percent of the average national poverty line. If you're below that percentage of the poverty line, some places it's as high as 300%. But, say if you're under 200%, under 150% of the poverty line. So you have poverty line, go up 50% of that. And so if you're making 50% more than the poverty line and less, you qualify. But they do the means test where, well, what assets do you have on hand? Again, by the original means test, you're covered because you're under that percentage of the poverty line. But now, again, like I said, what's your home's value? What's the equity you have in your home? Are you 65 years old and you live in a paid off mortgage free home? In California, that house that you bought 40 years ago when you were 20 and now you're 60, and it's been paid off for 10 years. You bought it for $80,000 40 years ago. Now it's worth over a million. Oh, guess what? You could sell your home to be able to afford your insurance because the price of your home has skyrocketed in value. You and your spouse are still working. You're under that poverty line threshold, but you work at the same time going opposite directions. You both have to have a car. Oh, you can afford two cars. I guess sell one. Like I said, this is going to be a way that screws over a lot of people who probably need. I'm not just going to say one. I'm going to say they probably need the Medi-Cal coverage because they're at that they're in that retirement stage, that late stage life where private insurance, because of their age and the way that age pool tends to have massive healthcare costs incurred that insurance pays out, they're they're not affording private insurance. So they would need the Medi-Cal. Again, I'm normally not a huge social safety nets guy. I understand it. You know, I don't want to see old people just, not being able to afford going to the doctor because they fell and broke their hip. But finding ways to reduce how many people are on the rolls because they planned ahead. They got their house paid off. They have a retirement fund. They have a pension from the union. You name it. It's a way it's going to screw over you know people who deserve. Well, I'm not going to say deserve, but people who qualify for this system that you, the state of California, put in. You voted for. You determined that it was so important of a need. Let's do this. And now we're going to find a way to screw as many people out as possible. So the 2025-26 budget proposal said Medi-Cal costs have increased starkly and continue to outpace revenues. The program cost $37.6 billion over the last year, and the cost is expected to increase by $10 billion over next year without the cuts. Along with low-income adults, many seniors and people with disabilities use Medi-Cal benefits that include in-home care services. For decades before 2024, the asset test was required for seniors to prove their eligibility for Medi-Cal, and Newsom's proposal would reinstate it. So this is just over 2 years. Or no, 1 year. Fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2025. And in that 1 year, it has essentially destroyed their budget. The proposal said that asset test would save $94 million this fiscal year and $791 million by the 28-29 fiscal year. Disability Rights California, a nonprofit, said the proposal would do tremendous harm to Californians, and I agree. I'm not a huge proponent for these social safety nets, but if you're going to have them run efficiently. And while I don't think you should cover every person, it shouldn't be a universal health care. You need to find better means testing and you know, hurting people who planned ahead for their golden years where again they don't have a state retirement plan that maybe includes healthcare benefits. I don't know. A federal retirement that has healthcare benefits. Yeah, and private insurance that's not going to cover an age pool where you know long-term hospital stays, in-home health care and such are going to be going are going to make it where they don't want to pay for that. They're going to make it to where you can't afford it. So I don't know. I guess California, as much as they say they love the poors, they really don't. And speaking of California, another story on them coming from Semaphore. I'm pretty sure this is a lefty rag because of reading through this article earlier. California opens inquiry into Paramount and Trump. So those who haven't been following along, when 60 Minutes did the Kamala Harris interview before the election, she had a lot of I say stupid things are derp. And it was heavily and creatively edited for the final airing on 60 Minutes to make her answers coherent. And so Donald Trump, or the Trump campaign, launched a lawsuit against 60 Minutes because it was election interference. They were portraying Kamala Harris as something that, in the raw footage, she clearly wasn't. And so Paramount settled out of court. And so now California is like, we're going to investigate you because we believe you, president of Paramount, engaged in political bribery. All right, the scoop. The California State Senate has invited two former top CBS figures to testify in a new inquiry into whether the network's parent company has violated state laws against bribery and unfair competition. Paramount offered President Donald Trump's 2024 campaign $15 million to settle a lawsuit filed against CBS over a lightly edited interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris in October. The Wall Street Journal reported earlier this week. Trump refused the settlement, threatening to file an additional suit against the company seeking federal approval for its merger with entertainment company Skydance. The settlement talks have infuriated many staff members at CBS, as well as many national Democrats who believe that Paramount is caving to pressure from Trump to settle a frivolous lawsuit. In a letter sent May 30th to the chair of California State Senate Energy, Utilities, and Communications Committee, Josh Becker, and the Judiciary Committee chair, Thomas Umberg, invited former 60 Minutes producer Bill Owens and former CBS News president Wendy McMahon to testify in an upcoming hearing on the recent proposed settlement of a lawsuit. California Democrats, whose party controls the chamber, said the hearing would focus on the incident, quote, and this matter's potential impact on the competitive marketplace, media sector, and the rule of law in California, end quote. Adding that one to focus on whether the company breached fiduciary duties owed by Paramount board members to shareholders, misused corporate funds vulnerable to shareholders' derivative litigation, or violated federal anti-bribery laws in California's unfair competition law. This inquiry is therefore not only one about is not only about one company or one lawsuit, but about protecting the integrity of California's communications economy, ensuring that public-facing media enterprises compete based on content and quality, not influence, capitulation, or political appeasement, the letter said. The letter continues, perhaps even more concerning is the potential chilling effect of Paramount settlement on investigative and political journalism. Such a settlement would signal that a politically motivated lawsuit can succeed when paired with regulatory threats. It would damage public trust in CBS News and other California based outlets, diminishing the state's stature as a national leader in ethical journalism. I wish to God I had a laugh track on my board because that's a perfect place for one. California has not had ethical journalists in some years, Mr. Letter Writing Man. Paramount's capitulation would also undermine two essential pillars of a liberal democracy: a free press and an impartial rule of law regulatory system. Well, first of all, the lawsuit was filed before the election, not by Donald Trump, but by his campaign. Now, I get it. They're wanting to merge with Skydance. And should that be held over their heads? The government approval of the merger? I don't think so. But at the same time, if you believe the people suing you have enough money, they're not enough money, have enough evidence that in a civil lawsuit you would lose, are you capitulating? Are you bribing them to say, okay, you know what? You're right. Based on the evidence, we think you could beat us in court. So here's a settlement offer. I We see this all the time with other suits where they're settled out of court. I mean, but you don't see Democrats dragging one of the litigants from, a sexual harassment lawsuit, um, a workplace safety lawsuit, you name it. You don't see them dragging, one of the litigants, usually the person making the settlement offer, before the Senate. And, well, why would you pay them money? What are you getting out of it? It's like, well, without admitting that we are at fault or that we did anything wrong, it appears there's enough evidence that we would lose in a jury trial. So we have determined what would be an acceptable loss that is short of what the amount they're suing us for. That way we don't admit that we did something wrong, that we screwed up, that Bob was getting all handsy with the interns. You don't have to admit any of that. And they go away. I mean, that's basically what this suit is. Like, oh crap. If they have the raw footage, they go in and they run that full interview and then turn around and run it against what was broadcast. We are screwed. So let's settle. In a letter to Owens and McMahon, it said that it was seeking to learn from both whether newsroom staff raised internal objections to the settlement or its motivations, whether any editorial decisions were impacted or overridden due to settlement concerns, whether internal counsel or leadership acknowledged the weakness of the lawsuit's claim. Again, you don't settle if you believe that they've got a snowball's chance in hell of winning. When the little dude comes swinging at you, you don't back down because, oh, no, the little guy's going to hurt me. No, if you are in a position that you can win, you swing back. Period. End of story. But no, the state senate is just in California is just, oh my goodness. What is the word that I am looking for? Okay, that is not the word I was looking for. I almost said they're straight up obsequious, but eh, no, obsequious is definitely not the right word. But it's just blatantly obtuse. Yeah, we'll go with that because anyone could see Kamala Harris on any day of the week. Just when she gets into a position where she has to answer a question that she has not written out an answer to, studied, and committed an answer to heart, she cannot string words together properly, and she just spouts word salad because hey, if my lips are moving, their sound coming out, I'm going to sound like I'm way smarter than what I really am, and I'm just going to keep doing this and talk and talk and talk, and I might sound retarded, but I'm going to just keep talking because talking and making noises, and what do I do with my hands, and that's what her answers turn into. You could see this in the presidential debates in 2016. You could see this when you know this is not paid. I'm bringing it up because I can. Um, if you go to veepthoughts.com, it takes to a Stuber Gear YouTube channel where he has her saying dumb crap to inspirational music. You know, um, Ukraine is a country in Europe, and Russia's a bigger country, and it's like, dude, when they asked you about Ukraine, they were not asking you to explain it to the people asking the questions like they were, 5-year-olds. No, 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 no. That's not what they were doing. That's not what they were asking of you, Kamala. But that's the answer you gave, and it will live forever in infamy. All right. One last story. Again, it has to deal with another one that deals with the lawsuit. And oh my gosh, it just makes my heart all a Twitter to, see media getting sued. But first, if you're like me and you want to have a nice, lovely face mane, and you don't want to be dry and itchy and brittle, I recommend beard oils. Beard oils are great because they condition your beard and they provide nourishment to the skin underneath. That way, your skin doesn't get dry and itchy underneath the beard. And my beard oil comes from bluecollarbeardsman.com. There you have an amazing lineup of scents that are available all the time. Plus, you can sign up for sign up as one of their tradesmen. I think that's what they call them. No, the tradesman's like their affiliate program. You just become a subscriber. That's what you do. You subscribe to their monthly subscription package, and every month you will get a new scent of the month. And dude, I did this for well over a year. I have a drawer full of beard oils that if, even rotating them, it is really going to take me a long time to go through all of them. But the scents are amazing. The oils are highly researched, and the blend of like I think ostrich oil, rice bran oil, and several others where I think it's like 6 or 7 different oils go into it, and then they blend the scents, and they make these great products that work as hard as you do. So if you are proud of doing blue collar work and you want to use a product that celebrates blue collar work, I recommend bluecollarbeardsman.com. Check them out today for beard oils, beard butters. That way you kind of get a little shaping and control of your beard and your mustache, and also again, it's got the oils in it, so it conditions and nourishes the hair. Uh, their beard wash, beard conditioner. So they have like combs, apparel. Check them out today, bluecollarbeardsman.com. All righty. So the final story. The final story. Yeah, I know. The ADHD is strong with me. It's 30 minutes after midnight. All right, so here we go. All right, so those of you who remember the Afghan withdrawal, I remember the Afghan withdrawal. I remember crying because of how ridiculous it was to see and hear about people getting left behind. The bomb going off at Abbey Gate, and just thinking about the work I did on my deployments that was just pissed away in a heartbeat. Well, America has some amazing people, amazing troops, amazing veterans who I recommend Operation Pineapple Express by Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann. Read it, get the audiobook, and listen to Scott Mann talk about himself in the third person. It's great to listen to. Trying to why does he keep referring to himself in the third person? He does, but he's reading the words that he wrote down along with his co-author, and he did a great job with it. But you have guys who, you know, Tim Kennedy. I know Tim Kennedy has been in, going around social. His name's gone around social media a lot because I'm not going to say he fabricated stories concerning his military career, but he definitely embellished from the sounds of it. There's a special operator who did something stupid. I don't remember what it was, and uh, Tim Kennedy's like, I have no clue who that is, and then people are like, Hey, wait a minute, weren't you on this reality competition show with that guy on your team? Well, I really didn't know him that well. It changed, but Tim Kennedy was there. Nick Palmisano from Ranger Up was in country, working to get people through gates, through holes in the fence, yeah, and getting them out of the country. Well, one of the veterans who was involved in this, he has a $500 million defamation lawsuit against Associated Press, and it's going advancing with its first hearing. Now, this guy has already settled with CNN earlier this year. All right, so Zachary Young successfully sued CNN earlier this year. Zachary Young's high stakes defamation lawsuit against the AP continues to inch along in Bay County, Florida, as the U.S. Navy veteran seeks to clear his name. Young successfully sued CNN for defamation earlier this year after saying the network smeared him by implying he illegally profited from helping people flee Afghanistan on the black market during the Biden administration's disastrous 2021 military withdrawal. When covering the trial in January, Associated Press media reporter David Bowder wrote that, quote, Young's business helped smuggle people out of Afghanistan, end quote. Young's legal team has said that the Associated Press article went further than CNN's falsehoods, and the veteran is seeking nearly $500 million in a defamation suit against the AP. On Monday, Young's legal team responds to the AP's motion to dismiss the suit. The AP had insisted Young's complaint is, quote, without merit, end quote, and unjustly challenges the outlet's free speech rights. But the Navy veterans legal team believes the motion failed to address core issues. Quote, it does not dispute the term human smuggling implies criminal conduct, nor does it offer any valid explanation for its use of that term, even though a court previously ruled that Mr. Young committed no crime. AP's own style book defines smuggling as illegal. Young's attorney, Daniel Lustig, wrote. Dozens of AP articles reflect that usage. Just days before this filing, AP published a story about a man sentenced 25 years in prison for smuggling people, reinforcing that understanding. Lustig continued. Even after receiving notice, AP refused to retract or revise the statement, not even to use a more accurate term such as evacuate or rescue. Young's attorney believes the most notable part of the AP's motion to dismiss was that it never denied that smuggling refers to a criminal act. Quote, instead, it argues that the statement, in context, was not defamatory. That is not a defense. It is a concession. Under Florida law, if a statement is reasonably capable of a defamatory meaning, it is a question for the jury, not one to be resolved on a motion to dismiss. AP's attempt to involve the anti-SLAPP statute to shield such a statement is both legally unsupported and fundamentally flawed. End quote. Young's legal team has also filed a motion to amend the complaint to include punitive damage. The 242-page filing suggests this case, quote, exemplifies the very scenario in which punitive damages are warranted to punish and deter such consciously indifferent conduct by a media organization, end quote. On Tuesday, each side appeared for the first hearing in front of 14th Judicial Circuit Court Judge William S. Henry, who also presided over the CNN trial. The case management conference, conducted over Zoom, was largely procedural and offered a chance for each party to explain why respective motions should be heard. Judge Henry scheduled the next hearing for July 3rd. He is expected to rule on both the AP's motion to dismiss and Young's amended complaint. The AP has referred to the lawsuit as frivolous in past statements to the press. Yeah, the fact that CNN was sued for using the exact same language, and then AP chooses to use the exact same language, and then wondering why are we being dragged through this frivolous lawsuit? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, it's because you're a moron. Your author's a moron. Your editorial board is a moron because they didn't go back and look and go, huh, CNN's being sued for saying the same thing. Okay. Here's a little thing. If you say something that you know to be factually untrue, or let's be 100% charitable. 100% charitable. If you chose the wrong word, if you're like, oh crap, I said smuggling, I should have said evacuation. You know, I said they smuggled them out. I should have said they evacuated them. Or, you know, evacuate, even with the evacuation, snuck them out. Because some of them did have to be legitimately snuck out of the country overland. Um, there, if you just use the wrong word, wrong turn of phrase, the proper thing would be to just say, you know what? Yeah, I that's my bad. And you go through, you correct the article, and then you put a correction not at the bottom of the story, but you put it at the top of the story. You put a correction at the top of the story. Says the previous publication of this article used the word smuggled, and due to its connotations of illegality, we have made a correction to the article and changed it from smuggled to evacuated, or change it from smuggled to snuck out. And we apologize to Mr. Young for the miscommunication. It'd be that easy. They probably wouldn't be getting sued. Speaking of lawsuits, I'm waiting to see if Richard High, aka Angry Cops, if you follow him on TikTok or YouTube, he's a great follow. I'm waiting to see if he gets to file a lawsuit against Channel 2 in Buffalo, because they said that Richard High is on the Brady list in the Buffalo prosecutor's office. Those of you who don't know what that is, the Brady list is those police officers whose association with the truth and credibility doesn't really exist. So therefore, it's not a good idea to put them on the stand to testify for anything. Well, yeah, there's a news story on Channel 2 in Buffalo that said that Richard High was on the Brady list because, and the evidence that has become available seems to outweigh any questions about his credibility. And so he is considering a potential lawsuit against Channel 2 in Buffalo. And I'm going to put a link to that episode of the Unsubscribed podcast in the show notes. I'll put the link for YouTube so you can watch it if you get a chance. I'll put the link for at least the Apple podcast in there. That way you can, or Spotify or some podcast form. I'll put a link to it in there so you can listen to it, on your time. But check that one out. That's going to be quite amusing to watch if it goes to trial. So yeah, good luck, Richard High. Please, 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 metaphorically, not literally, metaphorically, burn the Buffalo School District and Channel 2 News in Buffalo to the ground. Metaphorically. Notice how I'm insisting on metaphorically, because I'm not telling him to literally burn those institutions to the ground. I'm saying to metaphorically do it. Lob your metaphorical grenades that will do all of the metaphorical damage and destroy their credibility. Richard High. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Again, thank you so very much for those who decided you're going to stay up way into the wee hours of the morning to hang out with me. Those of you who didn't, I understand. I too am tired. And I'm adding like 110 proof maker's mark to the tiredness factor. But I do it to entertain you and possibly get the angry, dark thoughts out of my own brain. Either way, I hope it worked out for both of us. Again, if you new to YouTube or Twitch or wherever, please like and follow on the YouTubes. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that bell for notifications. Clang, 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 and all the video graphics I don't have. Again, be sure to like and share the video. If you're new to the podcast and you like the podcast, please ask 4 things. Number 1, subscribe or follow whatever your podcast platform says. Subscribe or follow. After that, rate it. Look for 5 stars. I'll accept 4. 3 and below, we need to have conversation. Hit me up on the Twitters at Fake Tyler Morgan Show. My DMs are open. And, if you're not a jerk, and you say, hey, here's why I gave you 3 stars or less, I'll have a conversation with you. Because I seek constructive criticism to make my show better. And if you have good constructive criticism, I will listen. I might not agree with your criticisms, but I will at least listen. I will hear you out. But if you're a jerk, I'm going to make fun of you and point and laugh while you stomp your feet online about how bad my show is. Once you have rated it, please write a review. Say something nice about the show. That way, as the algorithm helps people find the show, they read your wonderful reviews and go, oh, people generally like them. They think this is a good show. I'll check it out. But if you're that guy who says I like to talk about myself way too much and wants to be I'm an Alex Jones wannabe. First of all, I'm not turning the friggin' frogs again. I'm going to talk about the crazy conspiracy crap because I'm not Alex Jones. I'm not trying to be Alex Jones, and I hate the gay frogs and the aliens trying to take kids to Mars to be sexless. I don't do that crap. I don't. I just make fun of it, and I'll make fun of you, and I will make sure that bad negative review that's not even particularly clever gets made fun of forever and ever. Amen. Now, finally, once you have subscribed, rated, and reviewed and made me go off on a crazy making fun of Alex Jones tangent, please be sure to share this episode. Send it to someone who you think will enjoy it. Send it to someone you think will absolutely hate it. Believe me, if it's going to aggravate the crap out of somebody, I want to be part of it, man. That's what I love. Hate and discontent throughout the world. Watch it burn to the ground. Yeah, metaphorically. Don't want to literally burn the world to the ground, you crazy hippies trying to twist my words. Again, thank you so much for listening. And as always, find the right buttons to click at the right time to click it. And as always, stay relentless.
The Tyler Morgan Show is a relentless daring media production. The Tyler Morgan Show is supported by its listeners. To support the show, go to ko-fi.com/Tyler Morgan Show to donate there, or relentlessdaring.com and hit the donate button at the top of the page to set up your donation. All music used in the Tyler Morgan Show is used with permission from purpleplanet.com, link in the show notes. 2 Timothy 1:7.